That wasn't planned. What's up? Hey. Oh, that really just messed up my eyes. Really just wanted to make this video today because I noticed a few things. I've been noticing a few things in my silence and just meditation and things that, yeah. The eavesdropping has gotten to new levels. The, lack of privacy has really reached new bounds as well, and criticism is reaching an all-time high in areas I was not even expecting. Case in point, just finished my last drop of the day. Again, only did 3, started about 1:30. The last one I did was in the Marianos, I think in the original area that I started at, but the first 2 was in a different section of town. And the thing I noticed, and this was at both of them, both on the second run and the last run in a different location, because I'd been there over the weekend, was that the Mariano's workers were upset that I was working in the midst of a pandemic. Now, mind you, they've been working, I don't know, since the beginning of all of this, and I've only just started. I'm on like day 4 right now. And yeah, it was just really interesting because I noticed that the second time I went into the same store, the guy was like, oh yeah, she's working. She's not just shopping, she's working. So they're like actively looking to identify who are the shoppers and who are the, the paid shoppers. And I find this interesting because you can't really make more than maybe $50 in a day unless you do a lot of deliveries, which, depending on the orders and things that you take, is kind of impossible to do. Well, not impossible, I should say. You have to have really good shop time. So the reason I started doing the Marianos is because the first time I did an Aldi's, I did 3 Aldi's batches. It didn't say anything about getting the paper bag versus the plastic bag, and what ended up happening is that everything that I earned was taken by Instacart because the customer got upset. So, with that being said, I only had 1 order that had come from a Mariano's that day. Was able to keep that order and got a nice tip from the woman who I dropped off everything to. And I say that to say I then made the decision to only predominantly work the Marianos, simply because that whole bag charge thing, like, it was 79 cents for 5 bags, which was like $5. They took $25 fucking dollars from me. It was everything I made that day. And with that happening, I was just like, nah, fuck it. It's not worth it to go to Aldi's because, 1, the layout's a little bit different in each store. Mariano's is pretty much the same all around. And 2, the app makes it damn near impossible to shop quickly. So you literally have to scan everything beforehand. But I digress. That's not really the point. The point is there are people who are literally watching to see who has income and who doesn't. And I noticed this before I left earlier today as well, because my roommate's kind of just like listening to see like what I'm talking about and who I'm talking to, and then talking on the phone and kind of going in and out. And I can tell when he's listening versus when he's actually doing shit. And then, at one point he was talking on the phone. He was like, yeah, she's quiet today. Why are you listening to what I'm doing? And I already had an issue with this because it kind of seemed like I was going to have an issue with there being, people kind of watching, trying to figure out what it is that I was doing and everything, how much money I had, everybody else's accounts are locked, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I don't get any of the monies because all of my shit's fucked up. I moved, I changed jobs, and then COVID happened. So I've had to take additional measures. And mind you, this is coming from a man who just like, I don't know, just fucking has female ego issues to the point where he gets so upset he starts to yell and scream about everybody's a whore and shit. So I have no respect for that man. I don't want to spend time around him. I would very much prefer to limit my time as much as possible, and therefore I have been. So there's that. And then on top of that, it's really just been a matter of, I said I wanted to be left alone. You keep trying to get me to get like jobs, essentially, in other places. I'm like, I have a career path that I'm on. People are trying to figure out what it is that I'm doing. The whole fucking Primerica thing. What is your business and whatnot? And it's just like, I'm under a microscope, essentially, and it's uncomfortable, and yet at the same time, I'm really grateful for it right now because it's really just pissing me off into more strategic actions and planning at this point. Because if y'all are so concerned with what's coming down the pipeline for me, and it's kind of the same thing with old boy and his whole, I dreamt about having a woman who does all this and blah, blah, and all this other bullshit. Unfortunately, I believe my dafas have kind of made me a bit of a target because people have been going through my shit and then talking about the things that that have been said in my dafa, essentially. And while I don't put more than a grain of salt to it, some people take to it literally and expect it to happen like overnight, or are really just upset, kind of like the Mariano's workers, and like, who do you think you are? Like, this is my turf. Like, I literally went back for my third run, I went back to the original place I'd started over the weekend, and the guys kind of made a passing joke and like gave me side eye, and I think they even might have written down my my license plate number when I left, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I know you. Do you? No, you don't. Oh yeah, you work at Mariano's, right? No, I don't work here." I'm like, okay. So it's a lot of, while everybody keeps doing the whole rah-rah, your whatever spiel, there's even more people who were kind of on the negativity kick of, this is my territory, you need to leave. And I will be honest, like, there are not black people where I've been at for the most part. So I've been keeping a pretty low profile, but I'll also say that most of the people who I saw doing shopper work today, they were all black people for the most part. There were a few white women, a couple of Asians, but everybody was predominantly black. So that tells me that there are more black people out working right now than any other race. And instead of people being grateful if they still have income and can still go to work and things, there are literally more people who are upset that they have to go to work and can't simply sit around and get unemployment or stimulus money. And I'm sitting around saying, you know, all of my information's kind of out the wazoo and in flux, I guess, for the best word I can come up with. Just because of, like, again, things being hacked, bank accounts, fucking mail, and address changes. And so it's a very interesting situation to be in. And then people being really unsympathetic and of the, oh, well, you've got money mentality. And it's like, what money? Show me the accounts where the money is. I would very much like to know. Because at this point, the hostility is going to cause me to snap. And we're on day 1 of our fast right now. It's a very interesting time to be in. It really is. So, yeah. That's pretty much all I got for right now. But we're definitely going to add all this stuff to the autobiography moving forward.